So Sarah is the lead teacher at Mindful Families of Durham, a Sangha founded by Sumi Loundon Kim over 15 years ago. And aside from leading weekly Dharma groups for families, Sarah has worked as a psychiatrist supporting children, teens, and adults for the past 30 years. She graduated from a mindfulness teachers training program with Jack Cornfield and Tara Brock, and she currently teaches at Triangle Insight. I was able to listen to one of your recent talks last night, and it was just really encouraging and heartwarming. She is married to Scott Bryce, who has taught here as a guest teacher at IMCC before. And they have 3 adult children and 3 grandchildren. So just how special to have you here with us, Sarah. And I will turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much. And I guess, first of all, I want to make sure the sound is good. So maybe if people on Zoom can give me a thumbs up. I see one. I see several. Okay, great. I'm so glad to hear it. So yeah, it's really delightful to come and see your Sangha, even if virtually, although we do the same thing at Triangle Insight with the same hybrid thing. And so I feel really, really fortunate to join a sister Sangha in this way. And so I'm hoping I'll follow your usual format, which is very much like ours. I'll go right into leading a sit. And then I gather there's a break for a few minutes, and then I'll share some good news, which good news is a bit hard to come by these days. But I will share some hopefully warming to all of your hearts news of our, and my really just tremendous good fortune to have found this and watch this lovely community grow, and maybe inspire you all to help grow yours as well. So without further ado, let's settle into our sit. So finding a posture and taking your time doing so, not just assuming that a posture you had last week or last month is the right one for today. Really asking with curiosity and with kindness, what is going to suit you best this evening? It may be that some additional alertness is called for. Perhaps the back needs to come away from the back of the chair. The head needs to be pulled up a little bit higher by a string that's invisible, or the chin tucked. Or perhaps it's more in the other direction, that finding more ease, more relaxation is what your body is asking. Really asking for softening at the belly. Maybe the social muscles of the face are still carrying tension. They'd like you to help with releasing. Sometimes that information is harder to find, and it's easier to contract and then release some muscles to find out where the tension is. And as you scan the body for its information, again with kindness and gentleness, see what's true right now. Maybe not what has been being true for a while, but in this moment. Are there places of discomfort in this body? Can you give them a little tender attention? Are there places that feel pleasant or neutral, especially places that maybe have been uncomfortable in the past? Allow the lightness or the gratitude of that to move through. Finding perhaps one part, a hand on your lap or some place that feels like a comfortable home. And then bringing the attention to a place where the breath is prominent. Perhaps at the nostril, the chest, or the belly. Not the breath as it always is, but the breath as it is in this one breath. Bringing a spirit of kindness maybe playfulness, perhaps with a bit of a smile on your lips, seeing if you can catch a whole breath and learn something new from it. And as you pay attention to the breath, it's likely that thoughts arise. It's possible that emotions arise. As they do, greet them with kindness. With playful curiosity. And then gently return to the breath. It may be helpful to add some phrases, especially if there's restlessness or busy mind. Breathing in, I breathe in peace. Breathing out, I let go of whatever is predominant. Could be tension, fear. So much can change, even in one sitting period. It may be helpful to drop some phrases and pick up new ones. Breathing in, I feel vitality. Breathing out, I let go of my fatigue. Maybe in the closing moments of the sit, to open your awareness, perhaps even with the breath. Breathing in, I feel connected to the nature and to the beings around me. Breathing out, I let go of my doubt. And perhaps opening to some gratitude practice in this magical time of the year. Maybe bringing to mind some image from the day or from the last few days, maybe a flower, a tree, sending it good wishes for its growth this spring, gratitude, wonder. You can allow that gratitude to either strengthen and stay right at the heart, play with spreading it through your chest. Through the whole body. Well, welcome back, everybody. And again, thank you for this opportunity to reflect. I'm seeing the folks are still finding their ways back to their seats in the hall. It's lovely to see you. Should I go ahead and get started? It's hard to, I don't know if they have a mic in the room. I think I'm just going to go ahead. So yes, thank you for giving me this opportunity to reflect about MFD and to share it with you. It has really been a just an incredible gift in my life, and so I will just start in. So I thought I would just start by telling just a little bit about the history and the structure and what we're about and what we do and what it has felt like, and tell a couple stories about some of the things that have grown out of it, and then leave plenty of time for questions because um, I'd really like to hear what your community would like to hear about MFD. So as Shannon said, Sumi Kim uh, started, and really this whole MFD thing was her brainchild and heart child, as she was a member of our adult community that I'm also a guest teacher at Triangle Insight, and but really felt, because her kids were young at the time, and I think it was 2010, that they needed a different program for families. And some of the things that needed to be different were, it was really hard to do this on a weeknight evening with small children, and so she moved and had MFD be on Sunday mornings, which it still is. And I think that's important. Um, I would say, especially in a southern city where there still is a lot of tradition of other people doing spirit-based activities on Sunday morning, it's a really good time to have some protected time. I was just in Boston last weekend, and I happened on a Sunday to see just hugely filled soccer fields, and I thought, oh, in other parts of the country, it might not be so easy to guarantee that everybody's free on Sunday at 10:15. But in Durham, North Carolina, we're pretty lucky that there are very few conflicts. And we have both children and adults participate. And in fact, it was very important for Sumi early on to have a no drop off policy. People couldn't sign their children up for this and then leave. And in fact, we have a fair amount of parents who come without their kids. The parent part is as or more popular, especially as kids grow into or grow out of what they feel like is even just for a season or two participating. A lot of adults will come, even if their kids don't. But kids are not allowed to just be dropped off. This is really meant to be a family event, not just a kids' school. And for the first while, it was called Buddhist Families of Durham. But then Sumi changed the name because it really seemed like that was intimidating to some people, that there was going to be maybe more kind of classically Buddhist religious pieces of the program than there really were, or that people were going to have to make more of a commitment to call themselves Buddhist, and that it really felt more open and welcoming to just call it Mindful Families of Durham. So the structure of MFD is we gather, and the first 15 minutes is a family ceremony that's hosted by one of the families. And we sing a song, and there's a bell, and there's a minute of mindfulness, and different children do different parts of it, and they either light the candle or blow out the candle or breathe or do a minute of metta. It's very lovely. And the children are very excited, especially the tiniest ones, about getting to participate in the ritual. And then the children are divided by age groups, 3 or 4 ages at a time, and they go off into classrooms. We're very lucky to hold it at a private school in our area that has really nice facilities. So we have 3 or 4 classrooms of kids, and then the adults, we go almost always outside to this lovely circle that's surrounded by trees, and we do a 20-minute sit, and then I talk for a while, and then we break into small discussion groups, and they're really able to have Dharma sharing and parenting sharing for that. And then we bring that together in the circle and share from that. And I think about a year ago, we went from an hour to an hour and 15 minutes for the separate programs, because it felt like we all agreed we needed a little bit more spacious time. So that's what we do, and it's lovely. And after about 5 years of just sort of figuring this out on her own, and she said she just put a few notices in some neighborhood listservs, and she had a lot of families, and by then it was word of mouth. And so a lot of the new families that we get, we don't really advertise, but people hear through their school communities or neighborhoods. So after she had done it for a few years, Sumi wrote this incredible book. It's 3 books, really, sitting together. I don't know if it appears backwards in there, but there's an adult curriculum guide, there's a children's curriculum guide, and then there's just a book that has the activity sheets. And so there's a lesson, there's 36 lessons, 35 lessons. And the idea is that we're always parallel, that kids are doing what we're doing. And so the idea is that we have the lesson of the week, and then through the week, families can really deepen their conversation about that lesson. So the first unit is all about mindfulness, and we go through each week mindfulness of breath, or mindfulness of body, or mindfulness of emotions. And then the second unit is about loving kindness and all the different aspects and practices around loving kindness. And then the third unit is about ethical behavior and the precepts, and each week there'll be one. So like on the week that the adults are doing right speech, and the children are also learning about right speech, so that they can then through the week, and the kids' activities, I actually don't know that much about because I'm never there. But I hear they make cool art projects. They usually read books that are related. They practice briefly. They get to go play outside together. Because it's in a wooded setting, they often go out into nature together. And then the fourth unit is about character and how, once we've put all these pieces of practice together, how do we live out character virtues like patience or generosity. And then the last unit is about service and community. How do we integrate all that into the wider world and live these beautiful practices in our world. And in each of the units, we have one that's just about parenting, but in every week, the focus is on family life and being in a family, and how we be in partnership if we're in partnership, or single parenting, or how we be a child in a family, how we be a sibling. There's very much, the focus is always, how do these things show up for us in our families. And there's 35, 36 weeks of programming that's from the curriculum, but we often do other things. We take a break from the curriculum, either to do a day of service. Just last week, everyone went to the Eno River and did a river cleanup and then had a potluck. We work, there's a food bank that we are responsible for the jelly shelf. We bring jelly every week. Everybody's bringing a lot of jelly, but then we go there at least once or twice a year to help with the stuff that they need us to help with as a group at the food bank. We have picnics sometimes at the local lake instead of meeting, just for community building. Last year we did a lot to prepare for the local Pride Parade, working on decorating our float, and then we had this absolutely amazing float with this huge thing of water we could spray the hot crowd with, and so much went into the Pride Parade float. So it's not like the curriculum stays at the same part in the year. We just keep floating through the year as we take, and we also take school breaks off, and we take a chunk of time off in the summer. So, there's just so much richness in, now that I've been the teacher. So what happened was, I'll just pause. Sumi and her husband departed to go to New Haven because he got a job at Yale, and she became the Buddhist chaplain at Yale. And so, knowing that that was coming, there was one year when she invited all the many local Buddhist teachers from all the different lineages to come and guest teach. And there was a lot of people who formed this teaching council to teach. And then at the end of that year, I think, without making it explicit, they were kind of getting a sense of who might be a good fit to be a lead teacher, and I was very grateful to be asked to do that. But we still have this teaching council of other teachers. So I don't teach every single week at MFT. We have lots of other people in the community who have been able to guest teach. And so one of the things that's lovely is that we go through the same curriculum year after year. And I actually teach from these little index cards that I'm teaching from tonight. And I have this whole deck now on each of the weekly things, where I have my notes, which really, again, are from the suttas and from the Dharma, but very much from what might be up in the world. And certainly we've all been grappling with so much recently, that a lot recently has been about holding. Several of our families have really been very deeply and personally affected by job losses and by program cuts. So there's been a lot of holding of current events. And interestingly, I think my first full year being the lead teacher happened to be the pandemic. And so we met, like many other places, on Zoom, but we also met at a very large area of a park with families all on their blankets. We met a bunch of times, 15 or 20 feet apart, and somebody got me a mic so people could hear, and we were spread very far away, masked and in our separate family blankets many times, even in quite cold weather. It was really lovely, and I think very community building during that time when people were so isolated. So, what the community obviously gets is a tremendous amount of practice in the Dharma, but there's also community, and one of the things that's very lovely, it's about 30 families, is when they break into small groups, there's so much trust that's developed that people really make use of their community for support and for being very honest about the stresses and pains of parenting and the joys and celebrating. We also once a month do a joys and concerns sharing. And so we did lose one member very sadly to cancer, and the whole community went through that together in a very beautiful way. And all of the other things. So sometimes we'll just sort of hijack the curriculum. We did this a while ago, like about screen time, to develop kind of a community ethos around struggling with kids and parents and screen time. And I think one of the things that's really lovely for the kids is seeing the parents actively engaged with their own growth and development and struggling with things. So it's very much that even though the kids aren't with us when we're in the adult group, there's a lot of referring to that the parents are also growing, that it's not just the kids who are doing the growing. So I guess the other two things that I wanted to talk about before, I really want to answer a lot of questions that might come up for you all about it. Um, and this, I will also say that we have some grandparents who come. We have one set that comes pretty much every time, but we have, whenever other grandparents are in town, they often come. And we've had grandparents help with the volunteer and help with the kids program. And so if some of you are watching and thinking, well, we're not in the kid raising phase of life, it can be a very rich thing. In fact, we've just been very lucky with our kid teachers, but we've had some adults who suddenly realize there's no kids in my life. I really want to be around some kids, and they'll come and teach for a semester and co-teach maybe with one of the more experienced teachers. And it's just a very lovely thing when people recognize that I don't know any 8-year-olds. I want to play with 8-year-olds. It's like, okay, come along. We've also had now 3 weekend long retreats. Um, and One of the things I'll say, just like with the whole MFD, we're just very lucky to have some very competent board members who are, I think it's a board that's been remarkably without strife. I've known of a lot of boards in the world, and for whatever reason, the MFD board doesn't seem to have drama, and they seem to be very effective and efficient at doing stuff. Um, so one of the things they're really good at now is running our retreat, and we have at the local, there's a retreat center here at the Avila Retreat Center, and we all go there and stay. There's cabins for all the families to stay in, and the thing that I've now gotten to say 3 times, always saying it might not last, is at the closing ceremony, I've been able to thank the children so deeply, because even though the children's program is happening literally right outside from where we're sitting, they have not interrupted our practice one time. It's the most miraculous thing. And what I say to them is, I don't think it's just by chance. I think that they understand the importance of their parents' practice. They understand how it's helpful to them and their families, and they respect it. So even very little kids, I mean, partly it's a testament to the strength of our adults who teach, but they're all out there playing and doing their thing, and we sit, for the most of the whole weekend like one would at any kind of silent retreat. And the children respect that boundary, which is always just so beautiful to me. So there is a break in the middle of the day where the parents all can take their kids out in the woods, and we only do silence at the breakfasts. The other meals, we have people talk. And then Saturday night, we have a big campfire with s'mores and songs. and it's really lovely. And I will tell you, one of the only good things about screens is that if you're sitting at a campfire now, everybody can see and know all the words. So when you need to know what's the third verse of Sweet Baby James, you can actually sing. So it's the only time we allow screens is at the campfire. So everybody can pull up whatever song we're singing and know all the verses. And it's very fun. Then we take the screens back away. So that's been a very lovely thing to give parents a chance to sit a 2-day retreat and to have the kids really witness that and enjoy that. And we've had some of the kids come inside to sit, the older kids. The teenagers who are there are either out doing trail cleaning, or they're chopping wood, or they're sitting with us. And that's also been very beautiful. And that adolescent program is really beginning to take off as some of our kids have grown. And um, there's work being done on a third volume that's going to be the adolescent volume of this book. And some of our teachers have gotten, some of our members whose kids have grown sort of too big for MFD have really taken on this project of building out a teen program. And then the last and really lovely thing I want to share with you is that this past summer, 6 of our families decided a bit organically, like several of them started and then 6 came together to decide to go together to Plum Village, the Thich Nhat Hanh Retreat Center in southern France. And they invited Scott and me to accompany them. And it was really one of the most beautiful experiences that I've ever had on the Dharma path. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the Plum Village family retreats, but there were about 700 people there from all over the world, and almost everyone was camping. Scott and I did not camp. We stayed nearby in a very lovely spot and came each day. And for a week, it was family programming, again, with the adults mostly sitting by ourselves and the kids in kid programming. But Scott and I had actually been there several years before when Thich Nhat Hanh was still alive, and he was so focused on the kids' experience and always at the Q&A sessions answered several children's questions before he would take the adults' questions, and that tradition continues. And so the children are very integrated into the Dharma practice as well as the kid activities, and also in the work sessions. And I worked some with MFD kids, but a lot of other kids, and they were just incredible workers in the kitchen. And the most beautiful thing, if you've ever been to Plum Village, you know exactly what I mean, that the way they do walking meditation there is everyone goes together and walks following the monks and the nuns, and it used to be with Thai himself. And so you walk this path that takes about an hour, all 700 of you in silence. And the children are very respectful of the silence, and probably more so than some of the adults. It was just one of the most beautiful things of my whole life to walk through those plum orchards and through the woods, and the monks and nuns stop periodically, and everyone stands there and breathes. And that we got to do that was beautiful for our community. And we brought home from Plum Village there's a lot more singing, and the kids are much more adamant this fall at the retreat after that we really need to keep breakfast silent. It's just really important to not talk till after breakfast. And that came very much from the kids who'd been there, who were so excited to be able to share with the other kids their home community. And most of the people at Plum Village didn't have a community like ours, so the kids were very happy to share and to try to get other kids to start MFDs wherever they were in the Netherlands or other places. And I think that sense that of being connected throughout the whole world to other Dharma families, um, that this isn't just something that we do. And that's part of my hope in talking with you all tonight, that um, we can sow the seeds of other MFDs, other places in the world. The the program I'm also familiar with that we've sent some kids to for teenagers, the IBME, the Inward Bound Meditation Experience, I think is a great resource as well. I don't know how many kids from Charlottesville have gone there, but we've sent some kids there as a next step. Um, Unfortunately, we don't have a plan. It's a big trip and a big investment. We don't have a plan to go back to Plum Village this summer. I think one family is going, and I think they're going with grandparents. But I think there's a hope that maybe in another year or two, or that we'll go to one of the Thich Nhat Hanh retreat centers here in the U.S. So especially, as I said, in this particular moment when there's just so much suffering and unkindness and pain in the world, it's just been a real lifeline for our community, and a place that we've also been, very intentionally protecting the kids from some of the truth of what's been happening in the world. So allowing ourselves to play in a river and clean it up and do other things that are hopeful and positive has been also a really important part of our time. Well, thank you all for your very kind attention. It's been lovely to see all your faces here on Zoom and see your room. And I wish you all well, and please feel free to consult with us as you potentially grow your family program.